Here we are.
What's good, girl?
Nothing much. How are you?
God, I hate that blood dripping out of that lady's mouth. God, I tried to not look, and then when I look, there it is.
Oh my God. Oh my God. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm actually having a good day. Besides, I'm freezing.
Yeah. Well, I don't live too far from you, but yeah, it's bitterly cold here. Yeah.
Were you guys in a negative the other day? Because Jaden, he started school 2 hours late because it was -9 degrees at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, it was. No, actually, we haven't been in the negative yet. Wow. Maybe in the teens. That's about it.
Oh Lord. Hello, everybody in the chat.
Hello, Wayne. Hello, Ryan. Welcome. Beautiful Carla. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad everybody's here. So what's new?
Nothing much. No, I made some spaghetti sauce. So I'm gonna have some spaghetti after the show.
Nice.
What are you drinking today?
Actually, I don't feel still 100%, so I'm only drinking cranberry juice right now. But my lip isn't as swollen anymore.
It looks good. So because it's Paranormal Happy Hour, you always have a drink. If you were drinking, what would be in that cranberry? What kind of drink would you make?
I love cranberry with blackberry and pineapple. Yeah, it's a good mixture. It really is.
God.
So I definitely would do it then. I was actually going to create the snowball martini. But again, I'm not feeling 100%. So I was like, let me just stay a little bit away from liquor right now. Although it's called Paranormal Happy Hour, but you know.
It might numb the area.
I know. Well, the thing is, it's still I have this bump right here, and I don't understand what it is. So I'm definitely going to have a follow up. But everybody's telling me it's most likely that I may have gotten a slight concussion when I fell, because of the headaches. So I'm going to be following up with that as well. So yeah.
At least that's all that happened.
Yeah, definitely. But I have some news.
Yes.
I want to show everybody. So I have to give a big shout out to Elaine from Creepy Caboodle because she has made the most amazing mask for me. I just received it and it's done. So I'm going to show you guys a picture right now.
And guys, I haven't even seen it and we talk every day. I have no clue.
Yeah. So it's, and the picture doesn't really do it justice.
Oh, wow.
So this is it. So we have the Celtic sign on the top. We have the medieval sword. And then the little squiggly things are actually snakes. And then there's vines going all the way down. Now the bottom jaw piece actually wraps around the jaw. So I just have to adjust it a little bit. And it's ready to go. But I absolutely love it. She does amazing work.
That is nice. So is there a strap in the back or something?
There is. So there's a strap in the top and a strap in the side. So the whole thing will stay on. But there's also, she made it so that there's wires in the jaw area as well. So you could adjust the jaw area to fit your jaw. Because it's hard because she got the measurements from me, but actually not trying it on in person, it's kind of hard to determine if it actually fits you. Yeah, so
I can't wait to see you wear it.
I am psyched. So a big shout out to Elaine from Creepy Caboodle. Please check out her channel. She does have a YouTube channel and she does have an Estee shop. So
is she the same one who does the side-eye guys?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
The side-eye guys,
talented.
The Crows, Court of Judas. She does his as well. So yeah, a big shout out to her. So I am so excited.
Ryan. That's nice. You go, girl. I can't wait till you wear it.
I know. And I have another shout out. So good friends of mine, Denise Pounds, which is a creator, script writer, executive producer. And of course, everybody knows Victor Santiago, which is also my friend. He's an actor, the talk show host of the Don Vick Show. And he has other hats as well, but he's actually the producer, and they're bringing to life a thriller kids film, which is called Vampire's Vendetta. And I actually had the website description the website on my description if anybody wants to check it out. And they're in the first stages right now. They're getting funding and things like that. And they're planning to shoot possibly next year. But I'm really excited. And I do have a small role in it as well. So, yeah.
My best friend is famous.
I'm very excited. Yeah. So you want to check out their website. Again, I have it in the description. And I'm excited for them because she's an amazing writer. She really is. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, and shout out to everybody. Can I get a shout out just for the hell of it?
Give a shout out. Go right ahead.
I shout out myself. Pimp, pimp, pimp. All right, crazy ass. Let's get this show on the road. Because you know, I've been waiting for this one for
my God. I've been wanting
to meet him. I was so ready for this. I sat up here last Saturday waiting for you to show up in the green room. And I'm like, where is she? And then I realized, wrong date. That's how excited I was.
And the funny thing is I've been wanting to go do the live stream with him because Craig is the co-host of the X Factor. I've been wanting to go every time I get the link to go live. I'm like, I'm in bed already, but I would love to.
Girl, you go to bed really early.
I do because I have to be at work at 4:30.
Sometimes I'm like watching something on YouTube and I'm like, oh, I want to hit you up and be like, we should get this person on the show. And I'm like, and it says do not disturb mode or something. I'm like, sick, man.
I tell you, my routine is I get up, I get ready. I don't even have a cup of coffee until I'm at work, okay? Because so I'm in like auto mode from here to work. It's like, you know, when you're just like zoning out, but you're not, you know, it's funny.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Laura.
So let's get this show on the road. So we have an amazing guest with us. He wears also many party hats. So he's the member of Supernatural Inc. Network, Many of Spirits. He's the co-host of the X Factor and many other things. So we're going to bring him on. Let's welcome Craig to the show. Hello.
See, we don't have a sound machine, so I got to do it. Round of applause. Round of applause. Hey, what's up, Craig? Good to see you. Thanks for being on,
Angelina. I'm just going to go ahead and say Lady Victoria.
Yeah,
because it's a little more appropriate.
Okay. Okay. So, Craig,
it's long.
It is long. You know what? A lot of people call me Lady V.
Okay.
Lady V.
Short?
Yeah, short. So, Craig, tell us about yourself.
Like start from kindergarten.
Start from kindergarten.
You sure it has to be kindergarten? My first instance was at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania when I was 10. And my family, my father and my grandmother and my sister and my uncle were all at Gettysburg, and we pulled up to the first spot, and it's by Reynolds Woods. And we weren't out 15, 20 minutes, and the wind had a little wind to it. You know, there was just the trees were just fluffing a little bit, and then it would stop, and then it would start up. And every time it seemed that it would start up, and this could be reversed because I was only 10 then. Mm-hmm. But anyway, there was a change. And when the change happened, in came all these sounds. Everything from screaming horses to guys screaming, guns going off, all sorts of different guns. And I was already at 10, I was already into weapons and things like that. So I mean, different sounds, and there was stuff going over the top of our heads, and it went on. And then the wind would die down, and when the wind died down or picked up, it would fade away, and then it would start back up again. And it was something that I'll never forget. And it really sort of piqued my interest. So I started paying attention. The only thing that wasn't peaking was the fact that my father, at the end of it, before we got in the car, he had talked to a ranger there, and back then they weren't half as much as they are today. I mean, they're very not as many. And he went ahead and he went up to him and he started talking to him, and I went up to listen. And my father says, "There's an awful lot of shooting going on. What's going on?" And he says, "Absolutely nothing." He says, "What did you hear?" And he says, you mentioned quite a few of the items, and he says that happens all the time.
Wow.
And so I walked away, and he said goodbye to him, and it was like I didn't get back there till like almost 9 years ago. And
So from
I
till 9 years ago was, wow.
it was a long time. And
Wow.
I went there with the intention of finding the spot that I was when I was 10, where my father parked. And the whole first day I was stumped, and we were there for 3 days. First day I was stumped, and then I started to think a little more, and I had asked him, if he could somehow give me a sign. And as it turned out, we ended up on the last day. We ended up at the first spot we pulled into, which made perfect sense because my father was one of those guys, when you take somebody to a big area like that, you pull in the first spot and that's where you stay.
Mm.
He didn't want to drive all around because it's a huge park. If you guys have been there, but
Yeah.
I can remember going ahead and sort of instantly going ahead and getting that, I was getting the goosebumps and everything else. I was being given the sign that I was at the right spot.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's where General Reynolds died on day one. That's where he shot off his horse. And that had me going. Hey, Vic, Carol's here too.
Hello, Victor.
And
You're late.
it was one of those experiences that has been with me forever. It piqued my interest. I started just delving into things, and it went all the way from 10 to basically being a first year student in college up in the UP of Michigan, way up in the top. And there were things that were going on up there that just didn't make any sense to a lot of people. And I just started delving into them a little bit. I always have had an interest, but I didn't show it throughout my parenting with my kids because I was into baseball and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fisherman, so musky guy. So I didn't have that, except things were happening to me at the same time on those trips. Uh, we had an instance of something that involves we were in a certain area of a giant lake up there that's called Lake of the Woods, and it's right over the Minnesota border. And it's huge. It's 40 miles long. It's a massive body of water. It has 10,000 islands in it.
Wow.
And, we pretty much know basically 2/3 of it now, and we've been fishing it for 30 years.
Wow.
I'm
on my way.
We became a professional team. We fished the Muskie Tournament Trail, and we all ended up one year going all the way up to Lake Chautauqua in upstate New York.
Oh wow!
So I fished there, and I fished all the way, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Kentucky sucks. That's my worst ever fishing place ever.
Have you been to Cave Run?
No.
Cave Run Lake. It's in the mountains. And
no.
just absolutely gorgeous. I have to say, it's just, and it goes from low tide to high, not really low tide, but it goes when it rains in the springtime, the water can go up 30 feet because it's a reservoir.
So have you ever had any paranormal experiences while you're fishing?
Yes.
Because, people drown, things like that.
I've had, the one instance was on Lake of the Woods. Oh, there's another one, but that one was on Lake of the Woods. And we stopped to see these ancient paintings, Indian paintings that were on a stone wall.
Oh, wow.
And my partner was taking pictures and I was taking pictures and we were talking, and all of a sudden behind us was a boat, and it was like a canoe, and inside the canoe was a little boy, a little Native American, and behind him was an old Native American. And he says, you guys seem to be interested in this. And we said, yes, we are, because we haven't ever stopped and we've always gone by. He says, it's a good thing to stop every time you come up. He says, and you make an offering. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm going, this is great. I never heard anything like this up here. And because there are a lot of native, if you say Canadians up there, that and they're great people. And so he's standing there and he says, here, and he gives the little kid hands my partner 2 cigarettes. He says, break them up, throw them in the water, and say a prayer. If it's for catching fish or whatever. So as it turned out, we did. And we were saying the prayer and doing that, and we turned around to thank him, and they were gone.
Wow.
And my partner just went, and I mean, we could see quite a way, and that little boat they were in wouldn't go very fast at all. So it was just meant to be.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
I totally believe you, because it happened to me at Post Town. Where'd they go? Nowhere. Wow.
You said Post Town? You mean Post Town Elementary?
Yeah. I lived there for 8 months, and
oh, wow.
I'll never forget the experience of turning around and seeing 2 older people, and then starting the investigation and saying, hey, we got to find the 2 older people, and put all the lights on in the building and searched for an hour and couldn't find them, and went through hours of CCTV footage, nothing. So
Daryl and his wife were awesome.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, Craig, when you first experienced this, did you just embrace it, or were you kind of like freaked out of all these things happening to you?
I never really freaked out. You mean like scream and yell and try to run away or something like that? No, I never ran. I'm not a runner. From the experiences through the years of what I've been involved with in my life and my service, I would never do that. But it was something that I had to think about. And then there was another one on the Chippewa Flowage, which is in northern Wisconsin, that there's an island out there that's called Ghost Island. And my partner saw it, and he said it to me, and it was an Indian brave with a full headdress of feathers that went down his back, and he was on this horse, and he was galloping across the top of the island, and it was at dusk.
Oh, God.
And I had been told by 2 guides that I knew that were old friends of mine. One name was Dave Durazio, and he was a big muskie guide up there. And he went ahead and he said, I ended up having to ask him. And now he just passed like 2 years ago, and I'm going, I wish he was around, because I have more questions. That's the kind of thing that, when you really get into stuff like that, especially up there in northern Wisconsin, because that's where I go ahead and, in the summertime, I had a whole resort. And the resort, well, anyway, Dave had a picture. He had a Polaroid picture. Back then, there were nothing but Polaroids when you caught a fish.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a Polaroid camera, and he picked the Polaroid camera up and he took a picture. And I saw the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
My partner saw it for real, but I saw the picture.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, this is unbelievable. I'm gonna stick that phone in a bucket of water.
I was like, what is that
It
noise?
sounds like a door. I was like, that's a busy store. If you're at a store, and there's coming in left and right.
The spirits are coming in to talk to Craig.
They, all through all my experiences, especially on the water, I always felt at home.
Okay, so you're more connected to the around water.
I would say, I seem to gain strength when I'm there, and I feel a little more alert and that kind of thing. And we've been, like I said, we've been out there for a long, many years. I was fishing back then when I was 10, so I mean, actually earlier, but, and ice fishing and this kind of stuff. But that's the kind of thing, and every time, somebody would ask a question on that, and I would always have to go ahead and say that, I was in a way blessed to be able to feel these things and see these things that I was experiencing. And as soon as I was almost at the stage where I was retiring, and I had already been with one group, and I decided to go ahead and do some things, and I ran into another guy at a small Paragon, and we started talking. And I said, and it was the first real organization, you know what I mean, where people, where you don't feel, you feel an attachment to them, and you're not afraid to say anything to them, and in the circles in the paranormal community, that's exactly the way it is. People are not afraid of listening to somebody's story. So I just started to take off with it. I know it was besides my military, but that's a whole different story. These are things that happened to me to help me, and along the way, and to sort of guide me. We did a lot of instrumental transcommunication for the last probably 7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a great partner that I'm around occasionally with, where we do a double Estes, and we'll film them at different locations and things like that. And I was pumped. I was really pumped because the results of what we were actually feeling and seeing, or not seeing, feeling, and you could, from all the tips of your toes all the way up. It would just go, you just go like cold. It was just like you were being touched. And one of the locations that this happened in, it was like, it's an old school, and it's in Wisconsin. It's called Broadhead, Wisconsin. And it's a new location it's like 3 years old. And we were there the first year. And I would do Estes sessions, and I was doing this Estes session, and I mean, it was like 5 degrees in there. And Reggie was filming. And I was doing the session, and I had my hand on the antenna of the spirit box, and I always use headphones, like, and then of course the blinders, or the eyebrow or whatever you want to call the crazy thing.
Mm-hmm.
I got like 900 of those.
A sleep cover. Just kidding.
A beauty mask.
A beauty mask.
Okay, it's a beauty mask.
Blackout shades for sleeping. We could go on all day.
All of a sudden, I could feel this. It started at my shoulder and started coming down my arm, and it was colder than cold. So I was pretty cold. Hey, Georgia. That's a great group. And when it started happening, then it started going around the back of me. And then I started getting this impression that whatever it was trying to actually straddle me.
Oh.
Kinky.
And I sort of stopped and I went, no, not even. You could back off. You can consider this a warning. I'm in the middle of my session and you're not invited. So please back off. And then all of a sudden, it went back to the regular temperature and it continued. And it wasn't even 3 minutes later, it came back again. And that's when I had to just say, you're out of here, go. I'm going to, and I was almost finishing up. But as it turned out, what happened was it was two of the youngsters, they're like 14, 15-year-old, and their spirits in the building that were drunk. And this is what they were picking up on some of the other people. Mm-hmm. And that's why they thought they were going to prank me. But we've had so much great information, and we had so many experiences that, and I've been the pleasure with Scotty. Scotty Rourke has been just an amazing mentor. I have my other mentors who are with Supernatural Link and Brandon Cooper. Brandon is still my shaman, no matter what Brandon says. I don't care what he says. He's a Marine. He doesn't know any better. But
that's right, Brandon.
Yeah, don't forget it, Brandon.
Don't forget it.
And that's Philip. They have an amazing group, and he also is the one that has paranormal, what is it, 101?
Oh, okay. Is it the Georgia Paranormal?
Yeah, with Dr. Heatherly Langdon.
Mm-hmm.
They're together. But that's the kind of stuff, and I've done quite a few investigations all the way up into West Virginia and, into Virginia and then down. And I've never been up to the East Coast. That's a whole other cup of tea. I mean,
well, you're more than welcome. Right where I am staying, you can sleep right on up here with my passed away grandma.
But it's really mind-boggling when you think about all the locations and things. And I know that there's been a lot of people that have helped on the way. And Philip Wyatt is his last name, and they're partners on that 101, and they've always been really great as far as when they come on. They would be great people for you guys to have. And Philip is an amazing guy. There's umpteen thousand other people, but I mean, I'm bringing attention to him because he's always treated me really well. And, that's what carries us in this profession, because
exactly.
It's not a hobby to some of us. If it's a hobby to some people, so be it. But I wouldn't even. This is what I've been doing. I mean, I've been going against the grain for quite some time around here, and that's just because I'm crazy.
I can just imagine what would happen if you came up to the East Coast with the history we have here of everything. I can just imagine.
You got a lot of,
You probably call your wife and say, hey, look, I just bought a house in the East Coast. That's where we're going to be staying for about 20 years.
I don't think she'd buy that. she likes grandkids, you know.
Buy her a big, nice house in Maine on the water, and she'll be fine.
You see, Carol Garcia
live on the
says,
East Coast too. Yeah, see, people are Carol Garcia. You have to come to the East Coast.
she's one of my partners on the Wednesday show.
You guys all should come to the East Coast because where I'm located, I'm literally 3 to 4 hours away from like Cape Cod, Maine, Martha's Vineyard, all that. Susan, probably the same distance because she's in Boston.
Yeah.
So we're essentially located to where you can even come up and make some day trips, not have to worry about hotels and like go to ghost hunt and it's 2 hours away, drive home right after. No, wait, don't waste your money in a hotel. You know, like you gotta come. You gotta come.
So Craig,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
So I just wanted to let everybody know also that so you were in the military. You have a military background. You were a United States Coast Guard. Did you have any experiences while you were in service?
I was in the Army.
Okay.
But I was in Vietnam and Thailand.
Got ya.
During the war.
Ooh.
So there was anything that was really specific.
Okay.
There were a lot of stories going around about things that were happening in the field, and sort of these giant chimps that weren't really chimps that were running around and guys were shooting at them.
Are those the things they call the gins? The J-I-N?
I believe so. Guys would drink and smoke a lot after they got big.
Wow.
It was sort of real freaky. It was worse than the VC.
So when you dived into the paranormal and said, I'm going to find out if life still goes on after we die, what did you do? How did you just jump right in? What was your first piece of evidence? Where were you? All that good shit.
I was on an investigation it was at the hospital in Tennessee. Why I can't think of the name right now. You got me for a minute. It'll probably come to me. It's there's a two hospitals that he owns now, Old Harriman and Old South Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Old South Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the big ones. I mean, big. I caught a full apparition of a nurse with an IR camera, and I was shooting through a furnace room. And she was on the steps, and she was standing there, and, you know, I wish I would have thought about downloading it or sending it to you guys. I will so that you guys can see it. I wish I could share it with everybody. There's a lot of people.
Part 2 coming soon.
I know, huh?
We want all the evidence. We should do it only evidence show with them.
It's crazy because at her feet was a cat. And I showed this to one of the guys in my group at the time. And he says, "Why do you see what I have?" And he went ahead, and about a week later, we got together for a meeting, and he went ahead and he sort of threw this picture to me. And it was the nurse, but this time she was opaque, so you can see her outline. She was up in her room where she stayed, and down at her feet were the cat. That picture was taken 5 years before mine.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
Huh.
And it's the same lady. It's the same nurse. One of them was taken up in her room, and the other one, she was actually coming around following us.
Was there a story about the nurse that they told you? What's the history of it?
She was a nurse at the hospital. Somehow she lost her house. The doctor that actually was running the hospital said that she could stay there and gave her a room up on the 3rd floor down at the end. And that was her room, and that's where she stayed, and she died there.
Oh, wow.
And so we went out, and we were, I was really interested in you see, there's a lot of history that is sort of intermingled with a lot of these papers that were laying around in this place, because when I first went there, the place was upside down. And it was before my partner, Ron, who lives in the town next to me here up in Northern Illinois, he had gone ahead. And I said, wow, I says, I got a picture to show you. And this is before he really bought it. It was within 6 months, but I showed him the picture and he said, wow, that's really great. And we went ahead and discussed it a little bit. And yeah, she was up there on the 3rd floor, and she was a great nurse, but she had nothing else. And, Old South Pitt, as it's called, is a town on the hills, and there's really not that much going on, down in Tennessee. You got Old Harriman Hospital, which it's like something like 25 minutes east of there. And he bought that location, and that location is jumping too. But I'm getting a little carried away as far as trying to keep my train of thought, because you guys had me thinking so much that
That's fine.
No, I'm enjoying hearing the stories. Like,
I know,
because I've been to Old Harem, but I didn't after anything.
That's really an awesome place.
I was shitting my pants. It was like within my first year of investigating. So I shit my pants for the first year every time I went somewhere. But so it's been over 8 years, but I haven't been to Old South. But I heard that place is nasty. Like, evil.
We pulled up at Old South Pitt. The morning we got there, we had driven all night. Mm-hmm. We got there, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're in the back end of the hospital. And I was the first one to get out, and I'm going to stretch my legs. And I'm walking around just looking at, Mr. Sean Ellis is there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Sean.
And all of a sudden, I'm walking down this path, and it's to the old, what I found out later on to be the old emergency room entrance. And it's a glass wall, and it's got two double glass doors. And I come around the corner, and my partner is behind me, Big Mike, and he's super tall. And I came around, and all of a sudden, somebody had grabbed the handles on the doors and just started going boom, 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 like this.
Wow.
And he's behind me, and he goes, what are you doing with the doors? I says, Mike, I'm like 15 feet away. And wow. I says, okay, we gotta try to get this to happen again. And I said, go up there and grab him, because he was he's taller than me and everything, So I was going to film it. And he stood there, and he grabbed the doors, and he tried to start to shake them. He could not even come a third of the way of duplicating the noise and how the glass was doing one of these. It was absolutely freaky.
Wow. Yeah, that is freaky. But I like that you tried to get it to do it again and replicate it, and you're debunking it on the spot. A lot of people don't do that nowadays. But Mysterious Untold Michael, he has a question pertaining to what we're talking about. Was the nurse seen in the old white dress in Was she seeing an old white dress, or was it more modern day clothing?
No, it was an old. It
Like
was like an old white uniform, and they had a different looking, sort of like a pointed hat. But she was looking to the side like this. She was sort of looking down at us, and she was at the top of these two stairs. And in front of her once again, and I didn't know what it was at first. And then all of a sudden I said, holy crap, it's a cat.
Wow. Welcome in, Dawn. That's crazy. That's crazy. I don't know.
But that is crazy. So would you, Craig, is that your most awe moment?
No. I think
I was about to say.
No, that's probably his least.
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg.
It was down below the Devil's Den, and it was on the triangular field. And I went down and into this field, and it was almost night. It was, and we were with Rosemary Eileen Galley was with me, and her husband went. I said, I'm staying here. They said, we're going down to the creek at the bottom of this huge hill. And that's where the Confederate troops came out of the woods and tried to storm up the hill. And they couldn't really kill too many Northern troops because the Northern people were laying down and shooting. So they had about this high of a target to hit, and they just slaughtered them. So I was down there, and I got on this giant piece of granite, and there were 3 boulders, and I could see that you could see chunks that were out of the boulders.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, hey, this could be a good spot. I was like 10 feet from the trees. And I set up my tripod and my camera and pulled out a couple. I had my K2, and I had I think I had my recorder out, and I just started. It started getting darker, and I just started talking and said, who I was and that I was there to go ahead and say hi and see if I could help you guys out with anything. And I says, I'm a veteran too, and we're all soldiers. And I just put my hands out and asked them if they wanted to come out and join me.
Wow.
And by that time it was dark, and I could feel them. I could feel them around me, and I held my hands up, and I could feel them, the coldness on both of my hands. And it was like, wow, that was my big moment, because it went all the way down from the tips of my toes all the way to the top of my head.
Wow.
And it was like I was sort of crying. Well, I wouldn't say I was crying. I was what's that other term? That
weeping? No.
I was.
You were a man weeping?
I would.
It's okay.
I have a lot of compassion for my fellow vets.
So tears of joy, or
everybody up here that's around me, that's part of my VA group and PTSD group, and that we're all from that era. So we all have the same kinds of stories from over there, and there's some of us that have been back and forth 15 times that I don't even understand how they're still standing.
Yeah. So you said you live in Illinois?
Northern Illinois.
How far is
Wisconsin border.
Up by Wisconsin. So if you ever get to Rantoul, or just feel like taking a little trip, there's a decommissioned Air Force base out there called Chinook Air Force Base.
Yes.
I spent a year with my team investigating one of the old hospitals and one of the old correctional facilities. You should go if you ever get the chance. It is ran by the college. They take care of it, and they don't mind people going in. Therefore, there is no signs that say no trespassing. And I wonder if you were to go there, if you would pick up more activity being a soldier. Now it's a base where they didn't see any war. It was a training base. But if you ever get the chance, I'd be interested to see if you go up there, if you get anything, because we're still left with a lot of unanswered questions. And
sure.
A lot of the people who served there talked to us and said, hey, go over here, go over there, find this out, find that out. If you ever get the chance, you should go up to Chanute Air Force Base. Big property.
The founder of the Wraith Hunters, Texas Wraith Hunters, there's a group I'm with in San Antonio.
Yeah.
That's where I was last year. In April, we went there. And he's on the Lexington down in Corpus Christi. He was there last night. And then he was there, I think he was there this morning. And it was like, that's got a lot of history to it too. A lot of people died, and it's just another one of those situations and things, how things happen to you where like the deja vu moments where you get involved and immediately there's something more to the situation. Try to look into it. That happens a lot too, especially not only at the VA but at locations. The last one really was St. Albans in Virginia.
Oh, good place.
And we were there, and then we went. We were at St. Albans, and then we ended up going to the Shawnee Amusement Park. Lake Shawnee.
A lot of people starting to go there. So I'm starting to wonder, is there something there?
Yeah. Well, it's all Native American.
The grounds, yeah.
And the story behind it's pretty horrible.
It's getting very popular.
We spent almost the whole night out there, and I think that it had to do with the conflict between the white man and the Native Americans that started it, and then there was like skirmishes and little mini wars. It's like what happened over here in Illinois with the Blackfoot. Well, Chief Blackfoot. And from the, he was that Indian chief that was trained by the French and then the English and then by George Washington during the Revolution. So, and then he came out to Western Illinois and got 30 guys the first time he had actually attacked the settlers and the, they weren't soldiers. They were called something else at the time. The guys with the big black hats came down on the sides.
Puritans?
They were like the
like sitting right here. And I can see the ugly hat.
And the guy, when we were out there visiting friends of ours, and we went into the cemetery where all these 30 guys were buried. And the gentleman who was a lieutenant at the time, and there's a statue of him, and he's got that big shaggy hat in his hand on his side, and he had boots up to, mid-thigh, and that was Abraham Lincoln. He was like a 20-year-old lieutenant in not the reserves, I don't know why I can't think of the name.
What'd you drink before the show?
No, I don't have to do that. It's things that happen to my memory.
So when you go to places that are military, there's soldiers, there's things like that, and then you go to places that are not, have anything to do with the military, do you pick up more activity at places where military is involved, or is it pretty equal?
It's equal. A lot of times I'll go in there and I'll just sit down. I won't chase them, and I'll talk. you know, and hey, you want to come in and talk? You know, I'm not going to chase him. I
I'm
think
off and
that
running houses.
it's just like, you know, it's like family. You know, if you have one that's got a bad temperament or something like that,
That's
you're
true.
not going to ignore him any more than you are any of the other ones. You can't, you know, because then you're isolating them.
I'm gonna try that next time.
Yeah,
Just
have them
sit
come
there
to you,
and have them
actually.
come to
Yeah.
us. Because I'm always like, and everyone else is. That's interesting.
Paul, you were at Post Town. Did you have a lot of experiences at Post Town?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm 8 years later, I'm still questioning every experience I had at Post Town. I was there 24/7. And when I wasn't, you know, the dollar store right next door, I worked there. And I was so paranoid that the spirits were being bothered when I was at work. I kept coming out the front doors and checking the school. I've had many experiences there.
Where's the dollar store?
Right out the back of the, you know, where the, what do they use that room for? It's in the back of the building where the playground is. There's a Dollar General, right? It's either called the Dollar General, the Dollar Store, the Family Dollar, something like that. But it's right next door. People go there and get their batteries filled up all the time.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, you won't see it the way you. Yeah, the way you go into the school when you're investigating, you wouldn't know that it's there unless you said, "Hey, is there a local store to get batteries at?" But I would look out the door, and I got very attached to the spirits there, and a lot of things happened, and I still am baffled to this day.
Kids are amazing, aren't they? Did you experience any of the children?
So I experienced mostly adults. And when I dug into the history of the school, I found some stuff that no one's ever thought to look for and understand why the school is haunted. In my belief, what I found out that before that school was built, there was a family of 8 that were buried under the school. When that school was built in 1936, that family was exhumed and moved to the cemetery up the street from the school. And during my time there, I always saw 2 older adults, and once in a blue moon would see a little handprint on the wall about the size of size of a 2-year-old. But it was always an older man and woman I saw, like physically seen. Like, still baffles me to this day. But I believe that's why the school is haunted, not because of the train wreck. Nobody died on those grounds, and it wasn't even the right location for that train wreck. But there was a family exhumed, and you know, I'm religious, but I know that if you exhume a body, the soul stays. So I believe their souls are haunting that school. And there's an article right in the break room at that school stating that there was bodies exhumed from underneath there. And no one's I've never seen anyone go in there and investigate the family of 8 or ask about it or anything. It's always Mrs. Johnson, and she lives right down the street, and she's alive.
Did you like the doll room there?
I spent a lot of time in a doll room, and the most I got there was always a lot of flies, which I couldn't understand in the middle of wintertime, why there was thousands of flies everywhere. And then we extended the doll room into the middle room. I was there when we added more. I was there when we opened the red room, the room next door to it by the EVP little area there. I lived right below Miss Johnson's room. So I seen and heard a lot that I still question.
Were you there when Keith Age got married?
No. I lived there from 2018 to 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but I heard about it. But I've met Keith many of times at Post Town.
And Robin.
Yeah.
Robin.
I had to sit between Keith and Robin Terry for a little Paracon.
No,
and they all day long picked on me.
His wife.
Oh no, I haven't met her.
She's a wonderful lady.
Oh yes, I have. Before they were married, way before they were married. Yeah, they used to go to Post Town a lot.
It's just a great spot. It's one of my top 5.
It's very
Carol,
unique. Yeah,
Carol does a good job.
Yeah, I think for me, Darren and I had our falling out, but for me, that place definitely there's something there, and it's the only place I've ever gotten EVPs that are clear as day. You'll get EVPs there left and right, and to people who go to Post Town and you do not throw out a recorder, you're missing out. You're missing out because I never felt nothing bad there. One time I felt like somebody body checked me coming around a little nook upstairs, but it always was happy and peaceful.
Was it low or was it medium high?
So where the 3 little stairs are heading to Miss Johnson's
did
room?
they hit you down here or was it up?
No, I came up the stairs and I remember feeling something just push up against my chest here, and I turned around. I don't remember going down the stairs, and I said, "Steve Dunn, come. There's something up here. There's something up here." And there's a video of me the first time something happened to me there, and I was so petrified, I was crying. I cry and get stuck in a shoulder, in a corner when something happens to me. And the video, sometimes I watch it back and I think, I can't believe I survived 8 months. I can't believe it. It really took my mental away a little bit too. But I've seen a lot there. A lot.
Could have drained you, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It did. I took 1.5 years off. Yeah. It took its toll. I think, the relationship between the owners and I got, strained because of the toll it took on everybody who lived in that facility, because it was just nonstop. And there was investigations like almost every day. And then when I would be stuck in there by myself, it was kind of like, whoa, there's 36,000 square feet and I'm the only one here. But it got comfortable, hey, if you need anything, give me some knocks, do this, do that. But definitely a great location, definitely haunted. Definitely besides Octagon Hall, I'd say it would have to be in my top 5. It would be, yeah. I think Octagon Hall is the hauntedest I've ever been to, but Post Town is worth going to. It's worth going to. It is. And I can say that knowing the owner and I are still not talking, it is worth going to.
Things like that pass.
Yeah.
Daryl's a great guy,
Yeah.
and you don't know with people how long they're going to be around. And I always use, my method is I always try to keep everything going with everybody, no matter what goes on, because you never know when the last time is you're going to see them.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back because I have unfinished business with the spirits there. I have questions. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? What was the point of that? Why did you show yourself to me? I have no closure, So yeah, it's definitely a good place. It's in Madison County, isn't it? Post Town.
I think so.
Madison Township.
Have you been? And that's like going over to Mansfield. You've been over to the Reformatory?
Yeah.
Have you been there, Lady B?
No, I haven't. I haven't at all. No.
You haven't done a prison yet, have you?
No, I have not.
We need to get you.
Yeah.
See, I like the prisons. I'm not ashamed to admit I've been locked up before. I was a bad kid, and adult, and I totally go into the prisons and I'm all about getting your white t-shirts. I got commissary for you. I play the role to the T. I remember when I did that OSR, people were like, have you been arrested before? I'm like, you don't even want to know.
Yeah, definitely. So Craig, can you explain the ITC for our viewers that may not know what the term is, and what your experience with it has been?
I started originally just with the spirit box work, but to carry it further into the instrumental transcommunication is what it's called. That is the actual conducting either spirit box sessions by themselves and recording them like everybody else does, or taking it a step further and getting involved in like the Estes methods.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been our show for quite some time, and it was all based on what had happened to me on a regular spirit box session that we had with it was a double Estes, and it was out at Farrar School in Iowa.
Oh, that's the one Sam and Colby own, isn't it?
And it was me and Michael, and we were doing a double Estes, and we had the girls were filming us, and I could feel it coming, and I don't know what it was or anything like this at that time, but anyway, I could hear we started picking up this ticking, and it wasn't the first time I had picked up ticking through my headphones. And it was sort of a sound that was above the white noise, and couldn't understand it, and it was freaking my partner out to the point where we were 2/3 of the way through, and he said, "That's it, I'm out of here." That led me to believe that I was on the right path. This is something that needs to be addressed as far as this idea of this ticking. And I got a bunch of guys that were on, some of the guys in the ITC community, Yakovetti's, Austin Maynard, Tim Woolworth, and all these guys were in a round table, and they were talking. And I addressed them with this question that pertained to this ticking that I had heard. And I said, "Do you think it was aliens?" Because I don't know if you guys ever watched any of the space live space things with the satellites and everything going to other planets. And there was one particular segment where they had gone and they said, "This is the sound that space makes."
Oh, wow.
And it was like, holy crap, this is almost exactly what I was experiencing. So I asked these guys that and the question on the show, and I can't remember. I think it was Austin and maybe Ron Yakovetti and Tony Rathman, but they were sitting there, and all of a sudden they got these big smiles on their faces, and they said, "Isn't that what Frank Sumption was all about?" Like that.
Wow.
And I went, "Oh my God, this is like, I'm getting shined on right now." That's the moment where I understood that I could actually go ahead, and I had a product or a tool that I had that I could actually go ahead and communicate with my guides with.
Wow.
And I'm not talking aliens right now. I'm talking my spirit guides. And it was like, I'm on the path. And that's where I've been ever since. I've been going in that direction. So I am that part of the community that deals with these and with the spirit boxes, and that's my life. And when I do my meditations, I always go ahead, if I hear anything that comes across to me, I always address it. And I try to keep an open mind on everything that I experience when I do that. And it's pumped me up. We all go through these ruts in our lives where we get down in the dumps and everything. And I'll just start to do another meditation or two. And I have a great group of people that are on Monday night on the Psychics Unite. And that's Scotty. His wife, Terry, founded Psychics Unite. So I have a group down here that's from all over that we get together on Monday nights, and we're all the same kind of people. And we're all investigators basically, but we all have a little different soul, I would say, is a way of putting it. I'm no better than anybody else is. I hope nobody thinks that. But I try to go ahead and do the best I can and communicate the best I can. And there's always an answer. Not every night for me.
I was gonna say every investigation.
Huh?
Every investigation.
No, not necessarily.
That'd be awesome, though, right?
No, it would be. But then would we do it as much as we do it now? Another thing that has caught me, that started to make a real lot of sense after doing a lot of prisons, was, were you to make sure that you're cleansed at the end, and you use whatever you use to cleanse yourself, and you're in a group of 2 or 3, and then you say your prayer. And I use St. Michael a lot. I use St. Benedict a lot. We do the cleansings. We haven't been doing them lately, and I think it's a false sense of confidence that we get about our relationship to the spirits, including our guides. And they'll go ahead and they'll have you fall flat on your face sometime, just to remind you that this is something that has to come from here. It has to come from your heart. That's the whole soul. That's the whole crux of it. I think it's very important for everybody in the community to always go ahead and take care of everybody else.
Yep, absolutely.
No matter who it is. And if I don't know anybody, I'm one of those shy ones, but I've grown out of it to the point where I go out of my way to make sure that I know other people, because that's important too, because that helps establish the community.
That's a good point.
And that's what carries us.
Carol says yes, unconditional love for all.
Yeah. So Craig, you do believe in the afterlife?
Yes.
What do you think happens when you pass? Do you think, is there actually a heaven and a hell, or is there in between? Some people say that we're in the great plane when we pass.
I think it's almost like a great plane, but then we go to wherever our relatives are. It's automatic. I don't think I am one of those people that, when you hear people talk about the good and the bad, I don't think I'm one of the bad people. And I always looked at, when I first started getting into my mediumship and going through everything and learning everything, that we always had our meadow, and then you had your meadow and whatever you wanted to put in your meadow. And I would always have a pond, and then I'd had a big, huge deck, and all my mother and father are there, my grandparents are there, and I only knew of one grandparent that was around. My other grandparents were dead before I was born. So to see them and actually be able to say hi, even though it's all here, it was a godsend. And when I go through that again, and I have to go ahead and remember who I am, and I have to carry myself in that respect, and start all over again. If you want to go ahead and remember about when you met your spirit guides, how you met your spirit guides, and all mine, that's a whole brand new subject. because it's crazy what I went through. Absolutely.
How did you find out who or what your spirit guides were? What led you to that?
It was part of my mentorship with Scotty Rourke. And I actually did mediumship and psychic mediumship through him. And we'd go ahead and we'd actually have, it wasn't really a class, but he would go ahead and say, okay, you feel pretty good about this? Maybe we should try this. He says, I want you to go ahead and come down from your meadow, and you're going to have to walk through the pond, because if you pick up anything bad when you're out there, you don't want to bring it back to where your meadow is. Okay.
Interesting.
So I would go out and I'd go across. He says, you go into your woods. And I would go into the woods, and he says, you ask to meet your guides. And I didn't even have a spirit guide the first time I went in there. And I went in, I think it was about 16 times. And as I would go into the woods, it would be dusk again, so that, and I could see I was in the rows of the trees, and it was like the big, wow.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
That was me. Sorry.
Oh, I'm like, what the hell was that?
I know.
Damn, Susan. We're thinking something paranormal's happening, and it's you.
Lady
Thanks for
Susan
ruining it.
was trying to go ahead and really.
I know. I was trying to spice it up. Sorry. Just kidding.
It is getting boring.
No, it's not at all.
I'm literally thinking, if there's something up in this basement, they're going to see all my shit just fall down because I'm out. Well, it sounded like a man was talking to me or something.
I was actually looking up. Some of the viewers want to know where they could find you, Craig. Do you have a YouTube channel so that we could post a link?
I have a Facebook channel.
Okay.
The YouTube is through Supernatural Link.
Okay.
All the Supernatural Link network that carries both of my shows. Reggie's like the other two shows, the X Factor and Perfectly Normal Paranormal Communication. That's his stuff right now, and we're going to work on trying to get him together with us.
Got ya.
So speaking of mediumship, because everyone knows I do not believe in psychics, mediums, none of that stuff. And mostly that's because when I was living at Post Town, I came across somebody who did a reading on me, and then I noticed everything he just said to me is on the first page of my Facebook page, and it really just kind of threw me off. And so how do you know who's authentic? How do you know the difference between someone who's a fake medium or a real medium? And is mediumship real? What is it? What exactly is it? Like, is Cody and Satori? Could that be a possibility? That's their spirits knocking for them? How do you feel about that? Like, it covers, it's a big realm, mediumship.
Yes,
like for me, meditation, I can meditate. I do that when I go fishing. I meditate. I see my loved ones on the lake. I talk to them. I ask for help. Hey, Pepe, send me the biggest fish down. So to me, is it like that? Is it like, I trust you. I've watched you for a long time, and I've looked up for you a long time. So I'm going to trust in what you say. Like, what is it real?
I take people to heart. Period.
Okay.
I don't start to assume anything with anybody in the community or any of the mediums or any of the psychic mediums. I'm my own individual spirit, and I keep it that way. That goes all the way back to Alcoholics Anonymous. Keep it simple, stupid.
Right.
Because I'm the stupid one. So I actually looked at that and said, this is how you have to be. Because, what's good for you, not necessarily is good for somebody else.
Right.
Or you can pick something up faster with somebody else than you can another person. Does that make that other person any less than the other one? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I that happens to me with Susan when we're investigating. I'm not picking up on anything. Nothing's happening, and then I look at her, and it's like she's totally picking up on something. You can tell by her body posture and the way she's looking, and it's like, what are you feeling that I'm not feeling? What the hell's going on here? And it's like time to follow Susan. Where is she going? What's happening in there? And it's like, wow, how come she's feeling it, but I'm not?
She really carried that investigation, Lady V, that night.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, when she did with Victor, yeah.
The energy that you had that night, and then how I was seeing there probably was 4 or 5 right around you for quite a few part of the times at that place.
Yeah, Susan, you should share with him when we went to the Victory Theater and you taught people how to use dowsing rods upstairs there when we stepped away, Christina and I stepped away, and you said you should share that story with him. How everyone's stuff was lining up.
Oh yeah. So
I missed it. I wasn't
you
there.
missed it, but we were actually up in this not in the stage, but in the auditorium area. Yep, the mezzanine area, and it was kind of cool. I was using the dowsing rods, and a couple of people off to my left with using EVT and voice recorders, and then people on the other side was using another method. And it's kind of cool how they all lined up. And the dowsing rods were kind of like pointing like to one or the other, and it was cool, and it was answering the same way that we were getting replies from both of their equipment. So it was kind of cool.
For the yes and no's.
Yes, definitely. But in the Murdoch Whitney house, I definitely felt like the activity wasn't strong, but I felt like they were kind of like peeking around the corners, kind of like a little interested, but not really,
I was picking up that they weren't right on top of you.
Yeah.
But they were almost back there curious.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were watching.
Exactly.
See, that's where I get stuck at, because so when we were at the Oliver house, at one point in time during the tour, I wasn't really paying attention. I was too busy changing cameras, getting the memory card, whatever I was doing. And then we go to this room, and I just instantly felt like somebody was in there fighting. And then the lady told me the story about what happened in that room and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like, I get the feeling that something happened here, and I know what that feeling is. Like, I feel sorrow, pain. I felt anger that day. I heard yelling in my head. But some people would say, you're a medium. And I say, no, I'm not. I think that's more like intuition. Like, something happened here. It's not right. It's my gut. I feel like it's my gut. And I get people say, no, you're a medium. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because I was feeling things like that when I was a kid, like, oh, mom and dad are in a bad mood, or this is going on, or that's going on. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to.
That's your clairs.
Yeah.
All the clairs, and then you could start going ahead and going down the list and say, this one, does this with me. Mm-hmm. This one applies more than the other ones and things like that. And they're all, it all depends on how you want to use the tools.
For me, I just think, like, after I lived at Post Town, I saw people just standing there, dead people. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do for you. Leave me alone. Like, it really screwed my mental. I knew I couldn't go to a psychiatrist. But to me, being religious, I just think that's something that God wants me to see in that moment. And it has nothing to do with being a medium or anything. I believe that God is the one that is showing us what needs to be seen. At least for me, that's how. And some people say, no, you're a medium. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I would never call myself a medium as well. I feel that there's a lot of stories and controversy that's going around that a lot of people, they just cold read and they're not necessarily mediums or psychics. So I mean, it's hard for me. I would never like tell a lie and call myself a medium. Like I feel that that's bad. Like mojo, like towards like the spirits, like insulting them. I don't know. I just wouldn't do it.
For me, it's one way to find out is to ask them.
Mm.
And it's going to be in a building somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that numerous times already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like the responses that you get.
Yeah.
I know my sometimes my spirit guides shake their heads.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just got to remember who you are, and you're not any better than anybody else.
Exactly.
And go right back to the nitty gritty and just keep on building up from there. Do your meditations, say your prayers, try to help people, give them good prayers if there's something's going wrong, and just sharing the whole experience.
God, I wish I could be so calm like Greg.
I know, he's just
I'm gonna have to start thinking about Greg when I want to go off on someone. I remember one time I had led my first.
Why waste your energy?
Exactly. Maybe it's the Puerto Rican in me, the Massachusetts. I don't know.
I never see Craig not calm. Like all of his podcasts, he's always calm and collective. He's never,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
A bag of cats. That's an expression that I use quite a bit. But, it's everything that I was taught from my mentor gives me another option. And that's important because you don't want to get pushed into a corner and not have any way out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with hot Latin blood either.
I'm
Latin as well, and
Lady V, the same way for you too.
I'm just like, I don't even think it has to do with being Latin or anything. It's just standing up for yourself, protecting yourself, being independent, and just I'm not afraid of nobody. I don't care. Screw you, whatever. Exactly. But when I have these mediums who keep telling me you're a medium, no, I'm not. I'm respecting you. So respect why I think I see this dead person or this happens, because I think my God is allowing me to see that. He's putting that in front of me. And don't make fun of me and I won't make fun of you. But when you make fun of me, I'm going to make fun of you, 5 times harder, because I get a lot of shit in this field about being Catholic and doing what I do. And it surprises me. Because there's a lot of Catholic people in this community, but I seem to get the most shit.
No, don't take it that way.
I don't. I'm just
don't. There's no reason to take it that way. You just what you got to do is you just got to go over there and give them a big hug.
Yeah, well, not with all the diseases going around today.
I can't see her going to somebody giving a hug.
No.
That would tell the story.
But
that
see,
notice the whole show.
Notice the whole show. Greg has me calm, and I haven't said the F word. So I think it's maybe I need to change some of the people that I investigate with.
Hey.
And they're drawing out that,
there you
out
go.
of me. You the scaredness out of me, Lady Dark. Where like you're just like
I just do what I do.
You scared the shit out of me.
There's no difference with either one of you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, there's times I remember my first time leading a paranormal investigation. I was at I forget the name of the park, Eaton Park or something like that in Ohio. Tim Woolworth. I was supposed to meet with him and do that whole tour in Ohio, downtown Cleveland or whatever. And I couldn't find him. So I went over to the park where the husband shot the wife over at the gazebo there. And I led my first investigation. And this one girl is taking pictures and talking as I'm doing an EVP and teaching one of our super fans how to do EVP. And I went off on this girl. It's literally the video is still up to this day. And then I went off on her again because I'm like, you don't know how to use your effing recorder. What is your problem? Give me your shit. You're not getting on my team. Blah, blah, blah. I was like so mad. So mad. Like, but it was, I was running off her energy. She started the investigation in a bad mood because her mother had did something before we left and made her angry. And I'm like, holy crap. And I watch it back sometimes and I just laugh. I'm like, I'm not going to take it down because I got some good evidence. But
yeah, because you know, to be honest, there's a lot of negative energy out there right now. And the best thing you could do is to protect yourself, shield yourself from it.
Yeah. Do you think it's actually the energy or the downloads that are coming through because all the planets are in alignment?
I definitely feel that the earth is changing. It's a weird feeling, but I definitely do sense anger from people too.
Definitely
that's because they don't know.
Yeah.
Something's definitely going on.
What's going on? Oh, well.
I mean, look at the places that are getting snow and places that are like here. We had earthquakes. We had an earthquake last year. I remember feeling we had tornadoes here. Now we're getting less snow, and Florida's getting more snow than us. So something's going on in the world. All the fires in California, like I'm thinking, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's transforming. Yeah.
Start working on that this year, Susan. Building the bunker.
You know, they did that once before. Build bunkers.
Yes. Yes.
Back in the 50s.
Yes, but I would do it. Did they have these ones that I was watching Jersey Shore, and they went to a bunker in California, and it had a swimming pool in it and like a patio, and it looked like the outside. It was so incredible. I was like, wow, I'll build a bunker like that. I would never want to leave.
Yeah. Hey, Liz, welcome.
Hello, Liz. Welcome. Yeah, but there are arsonists out there starting those fires. Yeah. I'm still not sure exactly what happened with the California thing, but
my favorite lady from Scotland.
Liz.
I haven't seen her in a long time.
I know, I haven't either.
I used to go live on Facebook though a long time.
So Craig, we haven't even talked about your key tools that you use on investigations.
His ears.
My ears.
Your ears.
My spirit boxes. A lot of Estes methods. Everybody runs around. I like to sit. And I like to do my work by myself or with my partner.
Okay.
If we're going to film, then we have somebody that'll do that, or we set the camera up and we don't start the session until it's going. And a lot of times, you know, what you hear and what you find out through the hearing is multiplied by the EVPs that occur, just like they do during the show on Wednesday night. And that is mind-boggling because we were talking the other night about this same thing, you know, about your tools. So, well, I'm in a position too where I had essential tremors, and then it went beyond that. So now it's Parkinson's. So I have medication, and I have to go ahead and sort of pull myself in more than I did before, but still try to be nice in my approach.
I think Greg is my spirit coming. Because I'm going through medical issues and I'm trying to learn again my body over again. So it's like starting all over again in the paranormal, you know. is that my atrial fibrillation, or am I really something just shock and scare me? Like, what's going on? Am I hot because my blood pressure is up? What's going on? So that's terrible. It's like the worst thing right now for me. So how do you get through that? Because I feel like anything I do now or anything I sense or feel is medical. That's what my head's telling me to believe.
You have to just ground yourself and start over on this same day.
Mm-hmm.
Start new. And I'm just like everybody else. I do the same kind of things as what you're talking about. But you have to just stop and regroup and say, hey, this isn't going to get me anywhere from what I'm trying to accomplish here today.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start a new approach.
I'm going to start learning to count to 10.
Well, whatever it takes, you have to go ahead and take some, throw it over your shoulder or whatever, like they used to.
Yeah, because I literally just went on an investigation with Susan at the Oliver House, and this has been my first investigation since finding out that I have a heart disease. And at one point in time, I left them because I couldn't tell if what I was feeling was my body or if it was something paranormal. And I went downstairs for a good 20 minutes to half hour, and I just cried it out. I cried it out. If they watch the videos back, I'm sitting at the table crying. Like, this sucks. I can't do this no more. I can't tell if it's paranormal or if it's my body. Like, that night, I wanted to just give up. But I stopped crying all of a sudden, just stopped, and I went upstairs, and the ladies were getting a lot of activity. They were in different rooms, and things were matching up, and I got right back into the swing of things again. So yeah, taking time, and yeah, you're right. I've done.
I would bring, besides what Angelina was talking about, I would bring up, besides just the gear, I'd bring up things like portals. I have a portal that I use occasionally, and I've had some unbelievable things happen with that machine. I had one time
that app that talks backwards, the portal.
No, this is the old Huff box.
Oh yeah. I used that one time, and I was at a cemetery, and I was sitting, and the box was a little away from us, and I had a hat on, and clear as day, something came across and said, "Nice hat." And we were not talking about my hat at all. And I have that on my TikTok. And people are just like, no, that's planted. You can't plant that. Like, it was like, nice hat. And I'm like, what did that thing just say?
Every time what happens. Right? Why be worried about what anybody else is thinking? There's no room for it. There's no room for it. And a lot of those people do that because they're jealous. And there's no room for that. We've known that for how many years now. That's why I said, I have a group of people with me that, I confide in, and I have no trouble going ahead and trusting them.
That's good to have.
That's why I'm grateful for Susan. Coming from the Midwest is where I started my paranormal journey. And I've been all through the Midwest investigating. And then I moved back home to Massachusetts, and I meet Susan. And it's like, thank you. Thank you. Not only do we investigate together, but Susan's like one of my best friends. We talk every day. It might take me a few hours now to answer her back because I'm sleeping a lot because of my sickness. But, but there are some people that I just will not hang out with in the paranormal. And I will not lie. I do have a clique.
Nobody told you had to hang around.
But I will hang out with you.
Absolutely.
I want to one day do the double S's with you, because I don't do the S's method because I've done it so many times and nothing has ever happened. I've never heard nothing. I've never spit nothing out. but I do hear disembodied voices and I do get some amazing EVPs, but I've never been successful with the Estes method ever. I sit there and I go, is this thing broke? Like I never ever, and I go into my little quietness and I do pay attention, but I never get nothing.
You know what the problem with me? The problem with me is I don't know. Like I see Craig do it all the time, and I just can't. The noise that comes out of it, I can never like actually like hear other things other than like the friction noise, the static noise. So I can never understand it.
I channel.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that until quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was presented to me and the reason they said that it was channeling was because I had 3 different instances where I had asked and prayed and talked to my guides and said, I'm trying to go ahead and have a great way to communicate. And the boys in that room that I told you guys about gave me this great opportunity to go ahead and pursue that. That was a sign for me to go in that direction. And Frank's assumption, so be it. The Purple Princess, let him reign forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just taking that route and come on, help, please. And I did so many sessions, and then I was at a big event, and I was doing it at a table, and we were and this is something that I don't think is right, but we were in this giant bar. So there were people there that were drinking. REM pods were going off like crazy. And I was off on a table and everybody could hear me. And there were 2 women at the other side of the bar that actually worked at this place that had gone ahead and they had code words for themselves that they used that I had no idea about. But the code words were there for them to get up and leave. So in other words, if you were sitting there and you were having a beer and you wanted to get the hell out, you would use the code word, and then you both would get up and leave, and nobody would have the opportunity to bombard you with a couple more beers. Mm-hmm. The other one was a nickname that the one girl had for her friend that died like 6 months previous to this. And I went ahead and said in the session, I said, first of all, I mentioned the code word. And that's when they looked at each other, was like, what's this? Did you hear that? And then it was probably 10 minutes later, I went ahead and mentioned the other word. And that's when they both got up and turned ashen white and walked out the door. And I says, another one was a friend of mine in the group that I was in, was one of the survivors from one of the massacres out at Bloomington Normal. I want to say it was at the college out there. And they had lost about 6, he was one of the ones that was shot. I was on the stage. I was doing the Estes method, and the crowd was in front of me. And I was just going through what I go through that I do. And he was recording everything that I was saying. And we got done. It was time. He touched me. He said, and I looked at him and he says, I've got to go outside. And I says, are you okay? What's wrong? He says, you were saying things that pertain to when I was shot.
Oh, wow.
And nobody else knew. And that's the point that it took me about 2 weeks of not only prayer, but talking to my guides to make sure that I was okay with this. That I wasn't doubting myself, but I had just gone ahead and directly hurt somebody with my responses, or felt I had. And it was like, well, he needed to hear that.
Wow.
And that, you know, that's like a reminder of where he was in his path.
Wow. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Do you know Rick Wade?
I know the name.
He's here. He does a lot of events. He was the first person I was with at Post Town when he had a group of people, and he asked me to come along. People are always asking me to come along. Angelina lives here; she's a trigger, and we were in a hallway, and he asked a question, and I heard "help me," and I was getting ready to call it out and be like, "Someone just said help me," and he just looked right at me without knowing I was getting ready to call anything out, and just goes, and I'll tell you, I trickled my pants just a little bit. I was very new into this, not even a month. So
that's funny. Hey, Craig, have you had attachments? I'm assuming, right?
I've had a few.
Okay.
I brought one home from a place up by the border that we were doing an event investigation at. And when I came back down stairs here, I go through my gear, you know, and I take the batteries out and this kind of thing. And I had my Eddy Plus meter. And I don't know if you guys know, it's a machine that does like 3 or 4 different things. It does environment, it does a pressure, air pressure, you know, humidity. It does static electricity or EMF, and they're all rolled into one machine.
Okay.
And I had taken the machine out and put it down, and I was doing the other things, and it started to go off. And I have a little item down here that's called a devil's box. It's not really a devil's box, but it's a devil's nest. And it's like, you know, from I can't remember, it was True Detective series, the first one, and they had those things that were hanging. Those were devil's nests, they call them. That's where the spirits would go. And I had this thing. It was given to me like 6 months previously by one of the guys that we always had this passion for this movie, for that series. And he built it and gave it to me for my birthday. And at first I thought, yeah, what am I going to do with this?
That's what I would have thought.
Regift.
Yeah, exactly.
And I brought it down here, and I called a friend of mine who was dabbled on that side, and they crossed and everything else. And I says, how should I attend to this? And the response was with tobacco or whiskey, and explain who you were and that it was in your house and you would be respected. And that's where it went. I said, this is the only, either you have to leave here immediately or you can stay here.
Oh, wow.
I said, it's totally up to you. And the meter went off. And that was it. And I just sat there for about 15 or 20 minutes going, holy, what just happened?
Wow.
I would have been drinking.
I don't drink.
Smoking something.
Wow.
But, you know, it's It's what we make it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's how we're taught, and it helps lead us down the path. The new things that I've been dabbling with were all down in the forest in San Antonio with, if you know Anthony.
Oh,
Salavo.
the forest he goes to. Yes.
We were in the forest.
Yep, that's when I wait outside in the car for everybody because I don't do forest, woods, none of that. Yep, I'll be the driver.
It was unbelievable.
Mm.
I saw Reggie Randall, my partner,
Mm-hmm.
and we were in a bunker, and we were talking about this about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Remember? And he was filming, and he had his IR lights on, the camera, and he was outside, and I was like in a bunker area, and I was watching another member of the group. We call him Lurker.
Lurker, yes.
And Lurker was doing this experiment. He was a great guy.
He's a quiet. He's gotten a little less quiet. He's speaking more now.
He was doing this experiment, and I was watching the experiment, and what he was doing was he put a bunch of letters on a board, and they tell the spirits to put the word out there, and they were all scrambled up. And I watched, and they did a word. They made a word out of those letters. Wow. And I was going, holy crap. And as I was doing that, I turned around and looked, and here Reggie is standing underneath these trees, probably about maybe 30 feet away from me. And out of the trees, I'm looking, I'm going, it's 11:30, 12 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see this blue mist, and it's coming out of the trees, and it goes down over Reggie like that. And I'm looking at that, I'm going, I don't have a camera. My camera's broken. And I'm looking at this thing, and all of a sudden, from the ground came up a gold ring that came up and came all the way totally around him, enveloped him. And I just went, what in heaven's name is that? And whatever
that was my halo. I was sending it over.
It's protection.
It was with the protection, yeah. Anything yellowish, yeah.
And it was like there had to be a reason why I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was another one of those things that you see, and it's never going to leave you.
Yeah. I feel that Reggie's well protected too, so
that's why he says some of the things he says sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy. We come across sometimes being at odds.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because we're a little different.
That's okay.
And I love him for that,
I think it would be pointless to investigate with people who investigate the same way you do. Because what the F are you figuring out? Like, I have a small team. There's 3 of us, but each one of us do things completely different. I mean, completely different. Justin is the scientist. I'm the debunker. Christina is I'll figure this all out after the investigation. I have a lot of square footage to cover. We're all so different. And I think if we were all the same, we would just be agreeing with everything each one of us said. We bicker. Nope, that's not it. Nope, Angelina, you're wrong. And I love that. And I'm glad we're not. I'm glad that we bicker. And I'm glad that we're not all the same. I think, and a lot of people think, oh, I don't want this person on my team because they believe in this. No, that's the person you need on your team.
Mm-hmm.
That's the person you need. Because what if that ever happened?
When I was on that triangular field at the bottom, in the middle of that hill in the dark, I could hear the responses that came from the spirit box at the top.
Oh, wow.
And that's when they were arguing about, it said dead, no, it said head. And it was going back and forth, and it was driving me crazy. And I thought, I'm never going to be able to use my spirit box again, because I don't want to be joined by a bunch of people that are going to be going ahead and throwing things out there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I thought, and then it wasn't even a month later that they came out with Hellier. And then that's when I got to meet the boys, and start to really understand, because, Connor Randall and Carl Pfeiffer are the two men that were at the Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the ones that did all the tours and everything. And they were the ones that actually, and, Tim Woolworth will say no. The original one was the double blind ghost box, and that's fine. But for me, for my journey, that took me there to what they were doing, because all of a sudden I had this system that I wouldn't be interrupted, and the spirits wouldn't be pissed off because of what people were saying. The communication was being stopped. They weren't being paid attention to anymore, because obviously these other people thought something else, and they sort of were throwing the spirits to the side.
Yeah.
And I was down there, and that's when I was talking with the soldiers that were coming out of the woods, and it was like, and right in the middle of that was this crap. And to each his own.
I know. And that's very true. Sometimes I feel like the spirits get pissed off, either, we're nagging them or running around chasing after them, or just asking them the same old routine. What's your name? How you died? It's just, you have to have your own flair.
Yeah, you gotta have your own. Like, for me, I find I get my best evidence, or I get my best whatever, is when I'm just chilling. I could be just sitting there having a conversation with Susan, then all of a sudden be like, did you just hear a man? And that happened at the Oliver house. I have that footage, and it's sometimes it's just better to do that than to bother them.
Exactly.
Do you always wonder if they're winking at you?
Listen, when I lived at Post Town, every time I took a shower, twice a day, I'd say, keep your eyes closed. For 8 months, I thought they were watching me shower, get dressed, take a piss, and then when I would poop, I'm like, do not come in here, because I don't know if you can smell or not. Like, I'm not lying. If you ask Daryl, when I was first staying there, I was in the room in the entrance where you come in, the overnight room.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was too afraid to get up in the middle of the night and walk to the bathrooms to go pee. So I was pissing in a cup and leaving it in the windowsill and emptying it in the morning. Because I didn't know if they was watching me. I didn't know what the fuck. I had never experienced the paranormal. I never thought about it, never seen the TV. I didn't even know. I was like, who are these paranormal people? What the hell do they do?
That's quite a talent.
I would be like over the cup or around the cup.
I would go to the Dollar General next door and buy the big tall cups, and I got good at it.
With the wide brims.
I have my hand wipes, and I'm like, I am not going to the bathroom. I am not walking in that hallway, because Greg, you know where it's from, that room where the piano is, all the way up little stairs down into the dark hallway, and then there's the bathroom. Freezing cold. No, Angelina wasn't doing it. She was.
Are you talking about the hallway with?
Someone pissed in the cup, and I'm like, that's mine. That's mine.
Were you talking about the hallway with the windows?
No, the hallway where you go up into the break room.
Okay.
The two bathrooms on the side there, yes. The men's and then the women's. Yeah. Because, and then the other thing is, a lot of times Daryl would come out of that janitor's office and scare the bejesus out of me. So I'm like, no. Nope. When it gets dark, I peed in a cup. And I said, okay.
Did that ever,
now I just got that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I sometimes I talk too much.
It's okay. Me too.
I was going to ask Lady V if that ever happened to you.
Whatever happened to me?
The same kind of situation that Angelina ran into with being on a location where you didn't want to be watched.
Well, I mean, it's funny. It's every time I go to a location, they don't want to exactly talk to me. They like try to like play like hide and seek with me every single time until like towards like the middle of the investigation or towards the end, and then they come out. But I feel like they always want to play a game with me.
They sort of warm up towards the middle.
Exactly. And I'm like, I don't, half of the time I don't even have this attire. I'm just a regular person, but I just feel that they have to warm up to me for some reason. I don't know whether or not they like sense that I'm a threat or something, or I don't know. I don't know because
you go in hard. You walk into an investigation hard. You're there for business and you're ready to find out. And I think they feel intimidated.
What do you think, Craig?
Not saying it's a bad thing, but investigating with her, that's how
sometimes you only have so much time to handle what you have to handle.
Yeah.
So time is of the essence.
Yeah.
So as far as the spirits are concerned, they have no time. So one person can come in there, with a mission and come across to them in the wrong light. And that would explain why it took them a little bit of time before they became accustomed to what you were doing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's necessarily something that you should have to stop.
No, that's how you
because
are.
that's your method.
Well, I mean, I go in and I just like sense everything. Like I sense everything and sense what's around me, and then I go and venture around. It's not like I don't feel like I'm a threat, but I feel like it takes them a while to like actually come to me and warm up to me.
Has there ever been a situation where they overwhelm you towards the end?
They always typically do.
Penhurst, weren't you
the middle and towards the end? They like swarm me or something. I don't. But then in the beginning, it's kind of like,
wait a minute. We don't want her to go. She's a good one.
But yeah, when we were at Penhurst in a tunnel, when we were taking a tour, she stopped, and she didn't want to go. Like to this day, she has not told us what happened or what made her not want to go down the tunnel. We finally got her to go. But we weren't even 5 feet in, and still to this day we don't know what happened.
When the time comes,
hopefully she'll tell us.
She will let you know.
It's like I have it on footage, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on? What is she not telling us?"
That's in her heart.
Yep. That's why I say when she looks in one direction, I don't.
Yeah, I always like give that look, or I normally get pale or something goes on with me, and Angelina's like, "What do you see? What's going on?"
Wow, that's got to be super to see you in action.
It's super to see, but it's super scary because she gets stuck. It's like that dog that is around you and it's so small, and if you don't pay attention, you're gonna trip over it. She literally gets stuck and just zones out to wherever she goes, and it's a little scary, but at the same time, it's amazing because it's like, wait a second,
and then what's going on here? And then I take out my pad and then I start drawing.
Yeah. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Are you so you do writing?
I draw pictures.
Tell them what you did before Penhurst and what happened at Penhurst.
So I drew this person. What was it, like a couple of weeks or maybe a month before?
It was a good month before we went to Penhurst. It was right when I met you.
so I draw this person that had long, and I still remember him as clear as day. He had long, greasy, strangling hair, and it was covering his eyes. And he kept on screaming. He kept on screaming at me, "Get me out. I don't want to be here." And I show it to them. I didn't really sense him at Penhurst, but I'm wondering if he was the guy in the tunnel. I don't know. But sometimes that happens to me. I draw a picture before, like when I did a global ghost hunt 4 years ago at the S.K. Pierce house, and I read the book beforehand, Bones in a Basement, and I got kind of like familiar with the story. And every night until I went to S.K. Pierce Mansion, I seen exactly the inside of the house, and I've never been there. I see all the spirits, including S.K. Pierce house, coming down and saying hello to me. And it went on forever. And it was like, to this day, that house is like I'm constantly like thinking about it. It's weird.
They're calling you back.
Yeah, they are. But it's things like that. I just draw a picture, or it goes in my mind, or I have dreams about it. But it always happens.
That's wonderful.
She gets so lost though, because I'll be like, Susan, what are you looking at? And I don't even think she has a clue that we're talking to her.
No.
She's just like
Probably
in
not.
another plane somewhere.
And then other times, like I remember we went on an investigation, and it ended up being that the house used to be a police station, and the police officer got shot right at the spot that I started getting like these severe like chest pains. Because that's typically what happens. If I sense a spirit near me, I get like this tightness in my chest and like being extremely cold. And, I went to the doctor, I had like an MRI, and I had like a whole complete exam, and I'm fine. It's just that feeling. And sometimes I end up getting the feeling on what that spirit went through before he passed. So it ended up being my story. Sorry, Craig, you're the guest.
No. That's that's.
We all learn from each other, though, right?
We're like bonding on this right now.
Yeah, but that's usually what happens to me.
That's awesome.
So
yeah.
Craig, awesome. Do you believe in the Ouija board?
I don't use a board.
You don't use a board? Do you believe that it's some type of a portal?
I would say yes. I've been around. I have 2 boards here.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, what's her last name? It starts with a D. She's the one woman in the paranormal that collects them. She's like, she has all the boards.
Oh, wow.
Karen?
Don't know who that is.
Dahlman. Dahlman.
Okay.
Interview her too.
And she's an amazing person, because she can tell you a whole bunch of different things about the boards and the different types of planchettes. And for the people that want to go into it the right way, I've been on a board. I was on a board when I was younger. As a kid. We used to go up to an area up in Wisconsin for vacations, and there was a bunch of girls I was like a freshman in high school, and they were like sophomores and juniors, and we were having a party, and they brought this board out, and things started really happening, and it was like I sort of stepped back. I was confused. It took a while for me to start to understand, but it wasn't that much later that I started to lose my religion. Before I went overseas, I was listed as an NPC. So that's what I am basically, as a non-practicing Catholic. and that I am fine with that because I do believe in Jesus Christ and God, and but I don't want to buy it anymore, if you know what I mean.
I know, I understand.
And I chose to go my own way. And the kicker of that whole thing was one day over there, everything was busting loose, and we had a padre, and he came over. He grabbed about 8 of us, and he said, "Why do you need us?" He says, "I want to start with you guys. I want to give you the last rites." And I thought,
What?
this is crazy. I mean, wait a minute. You mean you're going to tell me you're going to go ahead and right here, right now? And he says, "You're damn right I am." And I thought, you know what I mean?
Wow.
That's a stumper. It's a stumper. And
Yeah.
and I came home and I told my father that. And my father went through hell in World War II in the Navy. He was sunk off Iwo Jima on his destroyer. He went through pure hell. And he always pushed God. And I had God up to here by the time I was going into high school, because it was like all the shit that happened in grammar school with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the nuns, and they would always point their finger at me and go, "I'm going to call Chester on you." Because I was a hellion as a kid. They took my mom away when I was 2.5 and put her in the hospital with polio.
Wow.
Took her away from me, and I went into the kitchen and grabbed a pencil and started poking every one of the chairs, going right through the covers on the chairs, saying, "Bring my mom back."
Mm.
And that was the beginning of one hell of a ride.
Mm-hmm.
So being that hellion and being that close to the other side, I had a sort of a relationship. Not necessarily all good, but your white light and your darkness always cross over.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a sign too. And like we said before, we all have our experiences, and we are all on our own paths. And it's great to go ahead and remember the one important thing, and that's just to treat everybody in the community equally, and leave it at that.
Try to.
Well, you're
At
trying.
least I can say I will never start it.
Well, you know what?
Start with me. I'm coming for you.
Nobody's telling you not to throw your brick away.
Yeah. Well, I got a bag of a sock with rocks.
Okay, with rocks or bricks. They're not saying to get rid of them.
Yeah.
They're just saying to try something different before you throw somebody out the window or something.
Yeah.
Or hit them in the head with.
To not have any really. I don't. Besides my videos on the toe tappers, I don't have drama with other teams or anyone else in the paranormal, and I think that's a lot to be said for a team. Our credibility is good. Our team is well liked. It's not a team that was put together fast. It took me 4 years to find a team member, then another 2 to find another one, and so I stay away from the drama so that the drama doesn't interfere with my team. And I have some friends that are full of drama, and I say, hey, look, you can't be on my show, you can't be this, you can't have the drama around, because my team doesn't put up with that, and we don't need that drama, and stuff like that. So I think if you stay away from the drama, when I see it, I'm like, oh, I see that drama on Facebook. Let's just get out. Let's go somewhere else. But
I have all that in my family. I don't need it in the community.
I tell you.
Okay?
Oh my God, my God.
Exactly.
So Craig, what are your future plans? Do you have any events you're going to or investigations?
I am nice and quiet right now.
Between Massachusetts?
Yeah,
I'm nice and quiet.
Yeah.
We have Broadhead Manor for that paranormal rock down.
Okay.
I think me and Reggie are they'll be put in a music room to talk to people.
Oh wow.
Well, so we're speaking there.
Uh-huh.
Are you guys going to go to that Paracon they're having at Ashmore Estates?
I've been usually. You mean for
the most recent one? It got canceled.
The Potographs one?
No, not the Potographs. I forget who was doing it, but they were having it. Just got canceled because one of the guys is a thief. He stole from the Boy Scouts or something, and paranormal investigators dropped from the event because they didn't want to be affiliated with the guy. So for some reason, I thought I saw you on a flyer for it. I thought you were part of that Paracon.
When is that?
Maybe May. It was supposed to be this year. I'll have to send you the flyer, but Robin Terry canceled the whole thing. So, but I swear someone told me that you were attending. I thought you were attending.
Robin Terry and Mike Couch are two very important people in the community.
Robin Terry is a great man.
And Robin's, I don't know how he does what he does and how he keeps going. And every time I go out there, or we're going to an event or something, Dana Strichter, I went to hear her speak up on the second floor, and I was sitting there and I had my partner with me, and the end seat was open, and she was doing some things, and then she was sort of doing a reading for me about certain things. She just started doing it, and all of a sudden I felt, without even looking, I could feel the chair next to me. Somebody was sitting into the chair.
Wow.
And I was listening to her and paying attention to her, and then finally I turned and I went, "Oh, really?"
I've known Robin Terry for 8 years, and I keep saying, I'm coming. And I was literally live 40 minutes away from Ashmore Estates, and I have not been there yet. And I'm so embarrassed.
we did all his haunted hour theater events.
Oh, yeah.
We did them every year.
Yeah.
I was originally with GRS.
That's
Ghost
right.
Research Society with Dale Kazmarek.
Okay.
And then that ended abruptly. And
we'll have to go to Illinois and have Greg take us through Ashmore Estates, because I trust Robin Terry, and that place is no joke at all. No, it's no joke, and it's probably the one place that I'm gonna go to and actually have a Reiki session and bring some protection for my pockets, because I believe everything Robin Terry says.
Robin's a great man.
Yeah.
And last time
Susan needs to go there.
The Kling brothers were there.
Yeah.
And
he's done a lot with that building.
Done an amazing. He's just an amazing. I don't know where he gets his energy, but I can tell you one thing: the way I am today, if you went ahead and gave me a hammer, and I built the back end of my house, and I hit my thumb one time with a framing hammer, 18-ounce framing hammer, and I thought it exploded. And the hammer went straight up in the air, and I'm lucky that the claws on the end didn't go right into my head.
Wow.
When it came down. But it was like, that just reminded me, and I see him with a hammer, and it's like, boy, I wish I could still do that.
Yeah.
But because of the way things have changed, I can't do anything without a tripod now. And then if people get crazy, but now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and it was like, I think the first time I met you, you were in a room with another girl, maybe a kitchen. And I think we were on your show.
Yep.
And I think it was me and Reggie.
Yep. And then somehow AJ Capasso got involved in it. And there was a lot of screaming and yelling. And Greg was the peacemaker. Don't waste your time. Don't let him get you upset. Just the calmest one. Yeah. But I think that if you were to come here to Massachusetts to investigate with Lady Victoria and myself and my team, we would hold those tripods for you.
Thank you.
And make your investigation easier.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very
definitely,
nice.
Definitely.
You guys are tremendous, both of you.
Thank you. I'm glad I finally had the opportunity to actually meet you.
Now we just got to do it in person.
I know. Definitely.
So far, it's been a real wild ride for me.
Well, come to Massachusetts, it'll get wilder.
Yeah, you got that right. So
Craig, go ahead.
Do you practice, Lady V?
My religion? As a Catholic?
No, I'm talking to Lady V.
Oh.
Victoria.
I have multi hats. I could, I do. Okay. I do consider myself Wiccan. I do stay tuned to earth and nature. I deal a lot with crystals, herbs, potions, remedies. And I consider myself an empath as well. I'm trying to figure out what else but what other abilities I have. Because to be honest, I feel like when something is going to happen, and I will be called upon to help. So, and it's a message I've been getting for the longest time now. So I'm kind of like, I have many hats.
That message has been around to a lot of people in the community.
Mm-hmm.
For it to happen, for us to get called, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to do anything as far as that's concerned. Because that's
what's Wiccan class tomorrow?
Well, I'm on Laura's tomorrow, and we're going to. She actually she had a great article explaining Wicca on her last magazine, which was phenomenal. But we're going to go more into Wicca tomorrow.
And see, that's what I like about Susan is Susan knows that I don't believe in any abilities, that none of that stuff, and she does, and she practices, but it does not come between our investigation time together and our friendship together. I accept her for who she is, what she thinks, and what she believes in. And I think that it makes it even more better when we investigate, because she's off doing her own thing and I'm doing mine. But I love the fact that, that I can investigate with somebody who has all these abilities that I don't believe in. And I don't judge her. She doesn't judge me.
Does it make you more curious?
Since I've been investigating with Susan, you bet your ass it has. You bet your ass. Because I know Susan's a genuine person, and I know Susan is full of love and light. I see it. And when I see the fear in her eyes, or just the loss in her eyes when she's looking in a certain direction or something happens, I feel the truthfulness of it. I feel something's really happening. And I usually leave the investigation not wondering about the stuff that I heard or saw all night long. I'm wondering about, what did Susan see? What did Susan hear? And how's that possible? because she doesn't say too much when she gets like that, so it leaves me kind of lost. But I like it because then I come home and I research and I learn more. So yeah, she has opened my eyes to some things. I'm not going to say I'm 100% believer in things yet, but my eyes are more open, absolutely, with her, because she's a very true person. There's nothing fake about her.
My first introduction to that end was when I ran into Greg and Dana Newkirk at one of the Chicago shows about quite a few years ago. And they had their traveling museum of the paranormal and the occult.
Yeah.
And Dana does a lot of work on their web page and their website, and as far as their group, I've been with them since they first started their page, and it's a Patreon type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the one that it was like, boy, I could actually be able to learn a lot more things that happen in the community, so that if I'm in a situation, I know this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody has their own way. And that I also thought at the same time that these are things that have been going on for centuries. That happened way before any organized religions happened. So there had to be something more to it.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily because we've been taught it's bad. Anything that isn't associated with the path that you or where you were placed as a child was the blinders that they gave you that was supposed to prevent you from seeing these other things. And I'll tell you, when I came home, I said there has to be a different way of looking at all this, that I have to go ahead and reevaluate what I am in my life and where I want to take the supernatural, if you want to say, at that time, and the paranormal and the things that happened and all the different places I was at, and then to run into those people, the Newkirks, and then had the series Hellier come on, and I was glued to it.
I bet.
I was like a little kid, and she did some ceremonies in that I thought were really, really neat. I thought, boy, my eyes are opening. Not that I want to go ahead and jump out of what I was doing and do what she was doing, but I respected her for what she was doing. And she wasn't being bent by other people that were saying, you're a goofball, you're this, you're that. Everybody has their own belief system.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as personalities. That's the part.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony's in there, I guess.
Oh, is Anthony here? Hi, Anthony.
Hello, Anthony. I don't know who you are, but what's good?
Hi, Lady Mystic.
Oh, there. Oh, yeah. Okay, now I know.
Hello.
Hi.
You're late.
He's saying, how did you take Greg in there and leave me out here? Because
oh man,
this has been fun. I could sit here and talk to you all night long.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally, this has been great. Well, what is it in a Catholic religion that made you not practice anymore?
We were led to believe that we had to go down that road and do certain things. And those things weren't necessary. That it wasn't really about religion. It was what we felt inside.
Yeah, that's a struggle I'm having now.
And that's why
I probably will practice till my mom dies or she'll kill me first.
Well, I grew up Catholic as well.
Right. Are
Well,
you practicing?
how did you face it, Lady D?
I was probably, like yourself, I do believe, in God and everything, but I was kind of forced into it. Like I had to go into CCD classes, I had to go to church, so I was kind of forced into it. Once I got to be a teenager, I no longer had to go, so that's why I kind of dropped it then. But I was kind of forced into it because I lived with an elderly couple, and they were true believers of the Catholic.
Huh.
That's a very strict religion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the
I
big thing,
literally asked for permission before I got into the paranormal from my local priest. I went and asked for permission.
what did he say?
He actually told me to, if that's what I needed to do to find out and to face because my biggest fear is to die. And I figured, hey, maybe these paranormal people who do this crazy thing can help me get an answer that here's what happens when we die. You'll be okay. You'll be able to sit on that pond with that fishing rod in your hand and go fishing all day through eternity. That's what I'm looking for. And when I told my priest that, he said, if that brings you peace, then go do it. But he warned me, and he warned me very firmly about what it is I'm dwelling into and what it is I'm doing. And after he said what he said, since then, I've been questioning whether I still want to practice or not. But I've been beat down a lot with being Catholic because I'm gay. I'm not married. I don't do traditional things. I went to catechism, made my communion, confirmation, all that stuff. But it's so instilled in me that I question it, but I'm in fear of questioning it, and I'm fear of walking away and not practicing it anymore. It's a big fear for me. Catholic religion was pushed on me every day of my life by every family member in my family, and it still is to this very day by my aunt whose house I live in on the second floor. She's very Catholic, so um, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
What do they
But
what do they have to say, or how do you think the priest reacts when you mention your choice
he
of
re he
sexuality?
react um it he it was just, you can't get married at the church. Your confirmation is now null and void. And I was cool with that. And this is where I get a lot of shit from the gay community is I don't believe that we should be allowed to be married in a Catholic church because of tradition. And I think tradition should stay tradition. And here's my Catholic. It's wrong. It's wrong. I get a lot of shit. I I will never get married because I cannot get married in a Catholic church. So there, I will never get married. And that's how it is. People are like, oh, now the Pope is saying, let the LGBTQ in, let them in, let them in, let them in, but don't marry them. I'm a firm believer in that. Do I think I'm sinning? Absolutely. But do we all sin? Absolutely. I'm not hard on myself about it.
You're
But
way
yeah,
too hard on yourself.
see, this is to this day, Catholic religion is pushed into my life to this day.
You've got to
To
go
this,
ahead and throw it all to the side.
it's a struggle.
You have to
It's
get,
a struggle.
it's a lot of baggage.
Yeah, yeah. My mother is it's one of the reasons I don't stop practicing is because I'm afraid of what my mother's going to say or do. My mother doesn't practice, and she hasn't practiced since my grandmother was killed when I was 2 years old. But she still pushes the religion on me and my brothers, and you live by the Catholic ways, and that's it. But it's like, you're not doing that. I understand you're angry at God because he took my meme away, but it's confusing. It's confusing to me. But I told her I think I'm going to leave the religion, and no, that was the wrong thing to say. wrong thing to say. So it's very, very enforced in my family, almost like cultish.
We have to
in a
talk
way.
more.
Yeah,
And, you know,
it's hard.
if you ever need to talk, it's the same thing with Lady V, there's no difference. We're family.
Yeah,
If
definitely.
you can't,
We all believe
follow
the
anything
same
from
way.
us, that's pretty horrible that you've had to go through that kind of business.
Yeah,
You have no choice to make. That's your business. You had nothing to do.
I
What
do
mean?
enjoy the Catholic religion. There's things I don't like and things I don't believe, but I still stay.
There's a big damn difference between what it was like back in the 50s. And that was scary. Okay. If you want, and Lady V, you were in church too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you saw all those the saint statues, the ones like the guy that's crucified and he's got like 7 arrows in him and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. It's like, what? You're going to take
like a lot of people say, Angelina, how dare you kneel to God? And I'm like, that's what we do in a Catholic church. We kneel, we stand, we shake hands.
I don't even
means that he's running your life. And I'm like, wait a second, you're right. He's running my life.
I don't understand that business about,
the kneeling and standing and kneeling and standing.
Shaking hands
look
and
at me, watch me.
You're my brother and all this. It's like, wait a minute. I don't even know you.
My brothers are like, just watch her. They see me moving or what did you say? I'm like, peace unto you, stuff like that. Like it's indented. It's indented. I can tell you a lot from the Bible. People will be surprised at how much of the Bible I know.
Reggie was burned in his past life, and that's because he was hanging around with the goth people over there in San Antonio. I love that guy too. I mean,
He's funny.
They went ahead and they gave me a name for the group for Texas Wraith Hunters, and they called me Silver Fox.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Silver Fox.
That's a good name.
It is.
And Anthony, he's sort of responsible for that. But it's like I'm proud of it, but at the same time, it gives me a lot of responsibility. Not that I necessarily have to turn around all the time, like poke them or smack them or something,
Yeah.
With everybody in the group, like when we were at the Alamo and that, it's different.
Yeah.
Make sure that you guys put Silver Fox on his team T-shirt.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
I have the T-shirt with that, and then that if you've seen the opening and closing on the shows.
Yep.
Where it shows T-Dot and he's sitting at the bridge and and it says everybody goes in and nobody comes out.
Yeah. Exactly.
I wanted that.
Oh yeah. That's a perfect.
That's exactly what happens in the woods.
Good job, Candy.
That's a good job. Yeah. So God, it's over. It's 2.5 hours now getting into this. I know, time flies, huh? So Craig, where can everybody find you?
Facebook. They can find me on.
No, we want your address.
Supernatural Link Design page. I do a lot of admin work on there. I haven't lately. Last couple of weeks I've been too busy, but one of the great people that I have a lot of respect for is Bruce Holliday. And Bruce has a couple great books, and he's done a lot of great work in the ITC community. And, you know, I sort of love him to death because I love everything he does. And, you know, he's been around for a long time, and I know a basic group of these guys, but that would be on Facebook, and then Super at Natural Link Design, and then I have my other pages that are the show pages that I just recently found out they had put up for me, and it was like I didn't even know they were there. But, and they're both by the names of the shows that I do, which is
Okay.
you know, when Spirit Connect and Mariner of Spirit. So, you know, if anybody wants to go ahead and get a hold of me, they can get a hold of me there, or they can get a hold of me on my personal page.
Absolutely.
And if you can't remember, hit us, one of us up. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
After we do an FBI, CIA, and then might check on you.
That's okay. Blood
Well,
types. Well, the blood work too. I don't have to do the rest of it, do I?
Yeah, well, blood work too. I'm gonna ask for blood work as well.
Oh my God. Well, it was great having you on the show, Craig.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And if you wouldn't mind just staying backstage for a little bit,
sure.
We're just going to end the show, and then we'll come right back with you.
I'll run upstairs, and I'll be right back down.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Thank
Greg.
you, everybody.
Bye, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you very much, TV, and thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome.
You're awesome.
I didn't even mention too many names tonight, which is something but that's okay.
That's all right.
Love you guys.
Well, that was great.
He's a good guy. I could talk to Greg for hours.
Oh my God, yeah.
So interesting, and the way he talks, you understand what he's saying. He doesn't use these big terms. I mean, he's been doing this a long time, so he doesn't use those big terms and shit like that. But what a treat! What a treat! Wow, what a treat!
That was amazing, and I definitely.
I think he's putting his finger up at us. Hold on, he's doing one of these.
No, I was saying we only have one day.
But we only have one day. She cut you off, didn't she? I saw that. I saw her cut you off. I was like, what?
You're still live.
Yeah, we know. We're just going to end the show, and then we're going to come back to you. We'll be right back.
Thank you very much. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. He's funny. So, that was a very interesting.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Good
and the thing is, like, we connected, God, probably a year ago, and something happened that I had to reschedule him, and we just never connected again until recently.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was great to have him, to actually talk with him and to actually meet him. That was great.
Yeah. I want to say thank you to Candy. I got your message, and amazing moderator. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
When you're on either one of our pages and we're live, we take no bullshit, and our moderators will cut you off before it comes. So
absolutely,
thank you to the moderators. I'll share that message with you after the show. But it's been a good show.
Yes,
it's been a great show.
It has been.
I mean,
and like Laura says, tomorrow we'll have the Wicked School show on her show, so that should be interesting.
So you guys are going to teach the coven leader all about the Wicked. I'm a coven leader and I don't know shit about it.
We're just going to talk about it, and the different how some different aspects of the Wicca, like what is actually Wicca, and a lot of people, they do different things, different practices, and pagan, how that interacts with Wicca. So we're going to be talking about a lot of things.
Interesting. What time is that?
Yeah. I believe it's at 6 p.m. Eastern. I have to confirm with Laura, but I believe so. So that's going to be really interesting.
Something to watch on a Sunday night, because there ain't shit on TV anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And I told her it has to be early enough so that we could stay for a little bit before I hit to bed, before work on Monday.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah.
God.
So
Girl, you gotta live a little and be a little tired one morning.
I know, but then I wouldn't even be able to function the next day. It's crazy.
Yes,
it's crazy. Oh yes, thank you, Laura. So
hello,
yeah,
Diane. I've seen you lurking in the comments. I haven't been able to say hello yet. What's up with the other side? Is that her new page?
I believe so. I believe
I'll have
she
to check
started
that
up a
out.
new page. Yeah.
She's so busy with the Cambria County Jail. I don't know what's going on. I was just like, the other side.
Well, I
And then
believe
when I
that's
saw the
closed.
picture,
I believe that's closed down for investigations now because of the cold. I believe.
okay.
But yeah. So yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for joining. Any last comments?
Does anybody love us? Do you all love us? If you love us, put some hearts in the comments.
Yes, definitely. And
if you want to see Lady Darkwood wear her new mask on her next podcast,
I am absolutely.
Oh, never mind.
I am absolutely.
All right, just end the show because I'm starving.
All right, everybody, stay spooky and be real, and we'll see you next time.
Love, peace, and hair grease.